You got married to this person 30 years ago and they used to love to have sex, and now suddenly fast forward, now they have zero interest in sex, but he still has interest in sex. Where is that going to leave the relationship?
Right. Women, I think they feel ashamed.
Yeah.
They really feel ashamed, and that's one of the things that really stood out to me.
One day you feel great, you can take the world, and the day after you just crash.
Welcome to Jus Ah Conversation, the podcast where we discuss the topics that matter to you. I am Aisha Reed here with my special guest host, Sharifa Medford. Today we are talking about menopause, openly, honestly, and without shame. For many women in Barbados and across the Caribbean, menopause is something you're expected to endure quietly, even if it affects your body, mental health, relationships, and everyday life. We are joined today by Dr. Sandra Bynoe, Dr. Roberta Corona, and Nutritionist Deidre Woods. Let's get into this important Jus Ah Conversation. Welcome, ladies. So, Sharifa, it's so good to have you here because, we promised last year that we will bring you over from In Focus to Jus Ah Conversation. So, welcome.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure being here as usual. We have a lovely panel here with us today. Ladies, I'm sure we can call you by your first names today.
Yes.
But today is going to be
Dr.
Deidre,
Bynoe.
right? It's going to be Deidre. We're going to have Sandra and Roberta.
Yes. So, this conversation is it should be personal to every woman, from the time you're a teenager to womanhood. And it's a real big taboo topic in Barbados and I believe the Caribbean. So we're here to break down barriers and stuff like that. And there are many myths, so many different things surrounding menopause. People say, oh, women is just be freaking out. Women is just want too much attention. Or women just don't want to be intimate no more with their partners. All different types of things we hear when we hear menopause. Sharifa, tell me about some of the things that you've heard.
Well, for me personally, growing up, I would have just think menopause was the point where I can't have children anymore. For me, that's just all it was. As I got older, then I would hear my parents and, other people talking about it. And it just seemed like a very miserable time of your life.
Yes.
That's what my first thought was of it. I was a little scared, to be honest. But now I am treading that kind of age range now. And I am more aware. But I'm still missing some information. So I'm hoping that we can get all of that here today from you guys, and that our listeners and viewers will also be able to dispel some of the myths surrounding menopause. So,
Deidre, again, start with you because I know for sure that you also have some questions that you want to ask. I saw you post on your page recently about talking about menopause, as it was like, Deidre would be a good person to bring on here. Yeah, so just tell me what you think.
Well, up to recently, because I'm in healthcare, I was a nurse for 16 years, we would hear about menopause. But in conversations, people don't talk about menopause in Barbados. That is something that is a closed door. And as Sharifa said, it's a miserable time because when you're working with older nurses, somebody says she got a hot flash, don't mind she. And, if you just push that aside and, just leave it there. But I think that in 2026, information is readily available to us, but sometimes we take this information and we don't utilize it.
It's true.
We just, we just think that we have to suffer as women and get through this phase in our life and just move on.
Right. Okay, Sandra.
Dr.
Today.
Sandra.
Sandra today.
Sandra.
You can give me your thoughts on it.
Well, I echo some of Deidre's sentiments, but I will also say things have changed so much on the island. When I first returned home in 2017, I think Deidre was quite right. Menopause wasn't talked about. We opened a menopause clinic and we started giving yearly conferences on menopause and how to improve lives. And I find now menopause is talked about a lot. And then Roberta can talk a lot more about when she started recently as well. Things have changed in Barbados. So Barbados is quite fortunate. We are educating women more. We're educating doctors more. We still have a long way to go. So we talk about that later. We still have a long way to go. But compared to the other Caribbean islands where I also practice, Barbados is at the forefront in terms of education, access to medical facilities, access to the medication itself. Barbados is at the forefront in the Caribbean.
Okay, your views, Roberta.
Thank you. I will second Dr. Bynoe, sorry, Sandra. I think it's a worldwide problem. We don't talk enough about it, but things are changing very drastically in the last few years. And Barbados has 2 menopause clinics dedicated to menopause. That is quite rare for such a small island. And we are pretty busy. I'm sure we are. So women are coming. Women are asking for help finally. But there are a lot of misconceptions. There are a lot of myths, and there is the fact that you said is a time of my life where I will feel miserable. That's a concept that we would like really to demystify completely, because it doesn't need to be miserable, and there is so much can be done. So I hope today we can give some information about this and keep the conversation going in a positive way.
Okay, before we get into the myths and those other stuff, tell me about the clinics, because honestly, today's the first time I hear about the clinic.
Me too. I never heard of it
today. I never heard of it.
Really?
Nope.
No.
Well, I'll start first. So I was trained here in Barbados, but moved to the UK. And before I left the UK to return home, menopause had kind of exploded. So I wanted to bring that back to Barbados. So I did. So in 2017, from 2017, we have a World Menopause Day. Yeah. Every World Menopause Day from 2017, every year. That's about 9 years. We have had conferences at the Island Inn, at Courtyard Marriott, anywhere that would have us. We've brought groups of women together. There are women who come every year to the conferences. Certainly last year, we showed that video. What's the video called again, Roberta?
The menopause movie?
Yes, we showed the menopause movie. And I kid you not, the weather was horrible. It was raining. But yet, nearly 80 women turned up and gathered under that tent to watch that movie. So that's how much women want information about menopause. That's how much women are suffering. So we started that clinic in 2017. When we first started at that time, there was only one pharmacist, and I must laud Lewis Pharmacy on the island. They were the only pharmacy who were bringing in the medication. Fast forward now, 8 years later, I know Roberta's clinic certainly has their own pharmacy, and there's One Up Pharmacy and lots of other, I think it's Better Health. There are lots of other pharmacies on the island who carry the medication for Barbadian women. When I first started, I would never see a referral letter from a GP. I would never see a referral letter from any of my OBGYN colleagues. Fast forward now, all of these years later, I get letters from GPs saying, my patient is suffering terribly with X symptoms, can you help her? That is brilliant. I also get letters from my gynecologists and my other gynecology colleagues saying, well, Sandra, she's really suffering and I don't think I can help as much as you can. And that's really good because it puts the patient first. It's patient-centered care. It's saying that I'm going to put this patient's needs ahead of me. I can't help, but someone else can help. So we're seeing a lot more of that. So, yeah.
So what should people look out for that would make them even make that step to go to a doctor to say, hey, something's up? Because, we live in the tropics. Barbados is very hot during the summer. I remember, 6 years ago saying, I could be going through menopause because it's so hot. But how do I differentiate between certain symptoms and menopausal symptoms? And what are the menopausal symptoms that women should look out for to get help?
There are so many, more than 100 menopause symptoms. And unfortunately, people focus on the hot flashes And this is not the most common one. I mean, it's very common, but if you really look at the statistic and the data, it's probably the most frequent one is the brain fog, the feeling, they feel not to feel themselves anymore, the sleep issues, the lack of drive in general, not only sex drive. And yes, you might have hot flashes, but I have plenty of patients that don't have any. They never had once an hot flash. So let's try not to focus only on that. Joint pain, anxiety, depression, genitourinary syndrome of the menopause virtually will happen to everyone. To make it easy, is vaginal dryness, difficulty having sex, painful sex, recurrent UTIs, incontinence, the memory problem. That's very scary. So patients come and say, I don't know if I have dementia. Because I cannot remember the names of my best friends. Just I know the name, but I just cannot remember it. Or name of things we use in a daily life. Or it's very common having palpitations. It can be so severe that patients are scared. I think they are having a heart attack. So often I see patients at the clinic that have been seen by cardiologists, have done lots of tests for that. I've seen by rheumatologists because they have these aches and pain and joint pain. They've seen by neurologists because of the migraines, because of the sleep disturbance. And many cases, everything comes back normal, no? So they feel like I'm going mad.
Right.
And
To play with your mental health.
yes, and it does affect your mental health, both chemically and physiologically, then as a consequence of all the symptoms that so there is a direct effect, because really the lack of estrogen can affect the dopamine, the serotonin reuptake, the memory centers. But also, if you don't sleep, you don't feel well, you are in pain, you have anxiety, clearly it's going to affect your mental health,
Right.
or a secondary phase as well.
Okay, Deidre, let's bring you in, because I know for sure that you told me that you had some questions to ask the doctors as well, and then from your perspective, because as I said, I've known Deidre from a tot, right? But I always follow her page because she's into wellness and nutrition and stuff like that. But no, recently I saw her posting a lot about mental health and menopause and stuff like that. So what are some of the things that you think your followers on Instagram and stuff would like to know too from the doctors?
Well, one of the things that really stood out to me, a couple of weeks ago I did a post asking persons, what they really thought of menopause. And one of the things that really was a recurring answer was it makes them feel that they're useless. And I think, I am not sure, because I'm glad enough I can't get children no more. That shit has sailed, thank God. But I know that some people only look at womanhood as getting children.
Yeah, yes, it's
One, being there for their families and everything. But women, I think they feel ashamed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really feel ashamed, and that's one of the things that really stood out to me. Because people don't understand, I think, yes, information is there, but some people don't really grasp that we do have changes in life. We are children, we become teens, we become adults, we become older adults, and some people don't recognize that.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Deidre. I think going back to how you started, when you said that, we live in a hot country, how do you know when you're going through menopause? I think that's the biggest myth, like Roberta alluded to, and that's culturally what we are told.
Yeah.
Culturally on the island and in the Caribbean, all that is spoken about is the hot flashes. It's less so where I practice in the UK, in my menopause clinic in the UK, it's less so. They're more aware. Here on the island, what I find is menopause equals hot flashes.
That's all we hear about.
Because
Yes.
culturally, that is all our grandmothers tell us. And that's all
Yep.
they were told. Okay? Now I'm going to read a story to you. I was asked to
Yeah.
bring some testimonials, so which will show just menopause isn't only hot flushes. It says, all I knew was about the hot flushes. The mental and emotional changes are not spoken about only mood swings. I feel like my soul is changing right in front of my eyes, and it's out of my control. It is the strangest, most terrifying and confusing thing I have ever experienced.
Wow.
I want you to let that sink in, because I think Roberta can confirm. This is what I see in my clinic week after week after
Every day.
week. Women who have lost themselves. See, she said she lost her soul. That is how they feel. And what happens when they go to their GPs and their some other gynecologists? Come on, how many doctors can relate to that? Because there's nothing that you can treat. So I can't give you something to take away that. A woman is sitting in front of me saying she's lost her soul. What am I going to do? Probably write her a bit of antidepressants, send her to the psychiatrist. But what she's saying is there's a hormonal change going on in her body. Progestogen has left the body, all right? Progestogen has said, I'm out of here. Estrogen, take charge. Estrogen doesn't really want to take charge. So it's going to do what it wants. One day it feels like being high. Next day it feels like being low. So it oscillates. Now, progesterone is our calming hormone. It stops us from being anxious. It helps us to sleep. So when progesterone just leaves our bodies, guess what happens? We become anxious. Things that wouldn't make us anxious before suddenly filled us with great dread. When we're anxious, what happens? We can't sleep.
Start to panic.
We start to panic. We have panic attacks. So we wake up in the night with things that have been bothering us all day, and then we can't get back to sleep. When we can't sleep, what happens? We wake up tired. We can't function. We can't be the mother. We can't be the wife. We can't function at work. So women's lives are falling apart around us. Invariably, with menopause, with the perimenopause, we get irregular periods. Some women describe the periods as turning on a tap and it just flows and they can't stop it. So, come on, add the hot flushes, the not sleeping, the fatigue, the who's going to feel like having sex. So we need to take all of these into consideration and really listen to women when they say to you, I don't feel like myself. I'm losing myself. Menopause is not only hot flushes. And lastly, when this happens to women are at the core of families, at our family structure. You know, sometimes I sit in my clinic and I feel so sorry for men, because how do you think a man feels watching his wife goes through this? He feels helpless. So when I see couples together in my clinic, I watch the helplessness of the men and I think, you know, you guys really need some help as well. And then I can speak about my own experience. My son, my menopause journey affected him. You know, my panic attacks, my anxiety, my anger affected him. So menopause is a family issue. It is not a woman issue.
I was literally fighting back tears as you were talking just now, because I felt a lot of those things within the last couple of years, but in the back of my head, I'm young, can't be me, because I had never heard about perimenopause.
Correct.
And then one of my big sisters, I like to call her, I was telling her about it. Like, I was feeling the anxiety, feeling like I'm so forgetful. When I tell you forgetful, you could ask my co-workers. It's bad. And it's really bad. And mid conversation, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You know, and I was telling her about it, and I was telling her I feel so confused. I went to my GP, explained certain things, and he gave me all the worst case scenarios that could be happening to me.
Oh my God.
Which made it worse, because the first thing I said to him was, I have a serious anxiety problem, so just be very careful how you talk to me today. And he just gave me all the possible bad things, right? And then she said, why don't you go and get checked and see if you have perimenopause? And I was like,
Was that?
what? But the thought of going to get checked, to hear that, scared me so much that I thought, nah, it can't be that, and I'm not dealing with that.
Average age of menopause is 51, 52 years old. Perimenopause can start up to 10 years before. Okay? And the normal age of menopause is between 45 and 55. That means that you could actually start having symptoms of perimenopause around 35, 36 years old.
Oh,
And obviously, there are also pathologic cases where you have early menopause or premature ovarian insufficiency. We're not going to talk about that. But if you are feeling what you are feeling, you need to be validated. And it's very possible that you are starting to have the fluctuations in your 30s or your early 40s. Very, very possible. Actually, it's majority of my patients is in the early 40s or late 30s that start having symptoms. And as Sandra was saying, the thing I hear more is I really cannot pinpoint. I just don't feel like myself. I'm losing myself. So it's very, very scary and very confusing. But there is no really a test for that.
right.
So you can do a blood test to see your general health, to see all the changes can start happening together with the perimenopause. But your hormone, in 99% of the cases in perimenopause, will be absolutely normal because they are normal until they are not in the postmenopause. And still, I have patients with a complete postmenopausal panel and they're still having periods because there is so much fluctuation during the transition. So I also want to demystify the fact that there is a test we have to do and we know we are perimenopausal or not. It's a bit like puberty. Happens and you don't know when it's going to happen and you don't really know when you're going to settle. Perimenopause is even worse. And I would say it's the most difficult time, more than postmenopause. Postmenopause is not great because you don't have those hormones there anymore, but it's much easier to treat, to replace. In the perimenopause is one day the estrogens are too high, one day are too low, the progesterone play a main role, as Sandra said, testosterone play a huge role as well. And one day you feel great, you can take the world, and the day after you just crash. So you feel okay, you say, okay, maybe it was just in my mind, and then you feel bad again. And it's not true also that you cannot start treatment in the perimenopause. You don't need to be postmenopausal to have a treatment. Actually, it's the opposite, if anything. We know by several studies that the best time to start if you want to have a kind of preventative effect is that perimenopause.
Deidre, your followers, what are some of the age ranges of persons asking questions about menopause? Because I would like to have an idea when we should start probably speaking to young women about this.
Late 30s, early 40s. As she said, about from 35.
Okay.
So most persons, to me, I was going to ask that question to you, Roberta. People talk about supplements.
Yes.
People speak about, we always heard about primrose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Drink some primrose tea.
Yeah,
Everything will be good.
Yes, I want to answer that.
And then I'm hearing a lot of people speaking about creatinine now, using creatinine and taking, I think, CQ10.
Cooking and
Yeah. Yes. Another one is magnesium glycinate is the big thing on the market now. So when we as women, we following the internet and we are saying, let me go to the vitamin shop.
Let me just buy all these
and
things.
just buy all these things. So I have about 10 supplements in front of me. Every day package them out and I taking them and I'm still not feeling well.
of course.
And on a month in that month I already spent near $500 on these supplements.
Yeah, they are so
and they're
expensive.
saying, you know what? Give it 3 months. Something can happen in 4 weeks.
Can I say, DJ?
Yes.
As in our menopausal years make us the most vulnerable.
Yeah, very fragile.
And when we are vulnerable, we get exploited.
Yes.
So if I tell you that this is a magic
As
drink,
someone does that,
I want to grab it.
I want a case.
I know many
Just in case you
cases.
get shark this later.
and you're gonna go, you're gonna tell all your friends, and what are they gonna do?
They're gonna buy the magic
yes.
bottle.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
therein lies the menopause industry.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, therein lies the industry. So Social media has been brilliant in educating women. I can't take that away. But it also has its downfalls.
Yes.
And you can't follow everything you see blindly. Just like Deidre said, I have women coming into the clinic. I'm sure Roberta has as well. And they bring their whole bags
With a suitcase.
I'm on this, but I'm not feeling better. Okay. Well, you're not feeling better because what's happening in your body. We didn't have to sit and have a discussion about what's happening in your body. It's a hormonal issue. Roberta quite rightly said the average age of menopause is 51. But in a predominantly black country like Barbados, black women go through menopause earlier. That's little known fact. We go through menopause around, our average age is 48.
Yeah.
So, with all of these they're taking all of these supplements and it's really not helping. But it's not helping because it's a hormonal issue. That's what your bodies are missing. And something that was highlighted that I think needs to get some more attention is perimenopause and menopause are two definitions. Menopause is a cessation of periods for more than 12 months. Perimenopause is that period leading up to menopause, around the time of menopause, where I describe the estrogen is fluctuating and the progesterone is flatlining. What is happening to women, especially in Barbados, is they're going to their doctors, they're getting blood tests, and just like you said, you were going to be assessed for perimenopause. Perimenopause is not a blood test diagnosis.
No.
It's a clinical diagnosis, meaning I must sit with you in the office and listen to you and give validity to what you're feeling. The blood test, your blood test can invariably come back normal. If it does, what does that mean? Do I trust the blood test or do I trust you? And what's happening to women is that they're being sent away and saying, no, you're fine. Your blood, you have enough estrogen in your body. There's nothing wrong with you.
Right.
Then they go away thinking that they're mad.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
they end up like
Dismissive.
Deidre with the 15 supplements, because they can't take hormones because their hormones are normal. So they're going
Right.
to try all of these supplements. But these supplements aren't what your body is missing. In fact, the British Menopause Society, the only supplement that they have recommended is vitamin D 400 international units. Certainly if you have a vitamin D in deficiency, then the level is higher. But that's the only supplement recommended. That's the only supplement I take.
Vitamin D, you said?
Vitamin D supplement.
Okay.
I also take, and then the supplements that we take is dependent on the symptoms you're having.
Individual.
The individual.
Oh, okay.
Some of my patients are on magnesium glycinate. Some are not. Magnesium glycinate is brilliant for sleep. Okay. Ashwagandha, brilliant for sleep and anxiety. So the supplements are patient dependent. They're not a blanket you can't just
Not a
give them
one-stop
to every.
fix-all,
No.
right?
Yeah.
What about hormone replacement?
Right.
We've heard talks about that. Is that a thing? Is that something we should consider?
Of course.
Take us through that, yeah.
It's the only treatment effective, safe, approved for menopause. It is.
How does it work?
Right, I was going to say, also take us through like a typical day of when somebody new comes to the clinic.
Yes,
How
but-
do you
but
go through
before
that?
Before
Yeah.
sorry, Roberta.
Yeah,
Before we
please.
even get to hormone replacement, okay. Especially in Barbados, and I think we need to speak first about the lifestyle.
Right.
First, before we even get to hormone replacement therapy, because I don't like the fact that women think that hormone replacement therapy is a
Fix
must.
everything.
And that it fixes everything. So certainly when they come to my clinic, I do not start with hormone replacement therapy. But there's some cases that really I have to start with hormone replacement therapy. But menopause is it's a life journey. It's a phase in our lives. And I'm passionate about it because I'm there.
Right.
All right, I've been there for a while. It's about changing everything in our lives. In fact, that's how I met Deidre.
Yes.
And how long ago was that? Maybe
Almost
six during
years, yeah.
COVID. I started a exercise journey with an exercise coach. Physical activity is important. Weightlifting.
Yeah.
Think about everything that's going to happen to menopause, and think about how you can reverse it with lifestyle changes first. So exercise, weight training. We lift weights 4 or 5 times a week.
Me too.
Well done.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a must, and it was ready. We had a lovely time with Deidre and Shelley. And cardio. Okay, so that's the first thing. Exercise. Everything that happens to our bodies during the menopause can be combated with exercise. Can be helped with exercise. To help with our health of our brain, muscles, bones, heart. So let's start there. Too many Caribbean women don't realize the importance of exercise, and when you ask, they say, "I don't have time." You have time. Half an hour, either at the beginning or at the end of the day, you can make time. They just don't know how important it is, and that's why education is important.
Right.
I saw, I think it was on your show, you did a documentary on chronic illnesses, chronic diseases in women.
Yeah.
You know, we need to get the education out there. Menopause increases the chronic diseases in women. Your increased risk of high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease. So exercise for women in our age group is non-negotiable. It's not a discussion. So when you come to the clinic, we're not discussing whether you're going to exercise.
You have to do it.
You're going to be exercising. If not, you can't be part of this clinic. That is how I run my clinic.
Sandra, another thing is, she introduced me as a social media person, but I'm also
A nutritionist.
a nutritionist. And nutrition is another pillar
Correct.
that goes hand in hand with the exercise. We have to change our diets.
Correct. And that's the problem where I find my patients in the menopause, they're reluctant to change their lifestyle. But like Roberta said, the HRT is not a magic bullet. It works in conjunction with everything you do. So you have to be exercising. And then the second thing they have to do is either see a nutritionist if they can afford it, or go online and
There's so much now.
work out the best way for you to eat. All right, you can't eat like you're in your 20s anymore, because your body isn't in its 20s anymore.
That's true.
So exercise is first, nutrition is second. Stressors, the things that you could have handled in your 20s, you can't handle now. So it's all about stepping away, removing stress from your life.
That's right.
Not my circus, not my clown. Step away.
That's right. Preach.
Yeah. Step away, because stress increases cortisol. What does cortisol do? Decreases estrogen. In our menopausal years, we need to be trying to keep our estrogen up as much as possible. So that's nutrition, exercise, removing our stresses. Like, I encourage people to meditate. I'm a big fan of meditation. All right, sitting and calming themselves. And once you sort your lifestyle factors out, then we could add in the hormone therapy. Yes, because now the hormone therapy is going to add to what you've already started.
Yeah.
So we
I
can now
think-
talk about hormone therapy.
No, I think I would like to add one thing to this. So I always talk to my patients about the 4 pillars. So our body is like a building. You need 4 pillars to stand, and this is the nutrition, is the exercise, extremely important. We lose majority of our bone mass in the 2 years before menopause, more than anything in all our life. The 2 years before are the worst one, and we don't know when is our last menstrual period. So it's really important we start focusing in the perimenopause. So the lifestyle is absolutely essential. But when I have a patient comes to me and is overweight, is in pain, is not sleeping, is depressed, has lost her mind, I cannot just say, okay, eat better and go exercise tomorrow.
Right.
Because probably they just cannot. They don't really have the energy physically.
Motivation
They don't really
sometimes.
have the drive. So sometimes we do the opposite. We start with the HRT, so they get back their life. They get back to sleep. They start building her energy back. And then I promise they will follow. Obviously, you need to keep guiding. You need to keep educating them that the HRT alone cannot achieve your well-being, and it's not something for life, while lifestyle is for life. And also there are women that cannot use HRT. Let's talk about that too. So not everyone will want to use HRT, or not everyone can. Maybe patients with breast cancer, or they have other hormone-based cancer. So lifestyle is definitely essential. But I hate when they are sent back. Okay, you lose weight first, you go exercise, and then you come back, because sometimes they need that kick, that push to start and to get back their life.
So, Deidre, as a nutritionist, what are some of the things that you would recommend? How would you tell somebody to experiencing this to change your diet and stuff like that? Especially when, people always say the first thing is too expensive to change your diet. Right.
The story of our lives.
The story of our lives.
On a daily basis, I am trying to push to people about balance. And we have grown up having our plates, and our plates are usually rice on this side, some meat here, and then the veggies decoration.
Correct. A little discarded.
It gives the plate a little color.
Yeah.
Fill a gap.
We are trying to change that focus. We want you to refocus. And where that rice was, we want you to put that veg.
Yes.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, it's very easy visually. Yeah.
And
like
then
that.
put the veg where the little decoration was. Put the carb where the little decoration was. And then your meats. And then it's also the preparation methods of your meats too. We want to encourage you to have more baked things. We want to keep away from the fries. The more whole foods we eat, the better for us.
Right.
And you'll be getting the nutrients from the supplements that you were buying. So instead of buying the supplements, you eat the whole foods. And you're saving there. So you see?
Correct.
So instead of spending that $500 on all those supplements, you buy your veg and, all your good things, your healthy fats, your avocado, your nuts, those kind of things. Encourage persons to eat what comes from the earth, basically. Right. And with that, it is as simple as there's no real magic pill to eating healthy. The magic pill is focusing on leaving out the ultra-processed foods, focusing on more whole foods, leaving out the sugary things, and you will see a complete difference. And with that, that's where the lifestyle change comes. Because what happens is that you tend to feel better.
Yes,
Of course.
Yes. You have more energy,
Less
Yes.
inflammation.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
that's true.
And then when the hormones, hormones were started before, started along with. That's when the hormones work best.
In harmony.
With you putting in the work.
Probably Roberta or Sandra can answer this to me. What are some of the things that you hear about from your patients about their work-life balance and their productivity, and how because it could impact their entire family? So tell me a little bit more
Getting
about
the
their
employers
stories.
to
Yeah,
understand.
getting their employees. Yeah,
I'll let Roberta go
Okay,
first.
so 1 in 3 women will actually leave their job in between perimenopause and menopause. 1 in 3. 1 in 3.
Wow.
And that's the time where, you should starting to be on top of your career and getting the good position. And often they just can't cope anymore because of the memory, because of the lack of sleep, because of they cannot remember names, they don't remember if they have sent that email or not. So they feel inadequate. And often they just leave because they can't cope with that. So it's a huge, huge topic for the workplace. And I will leave Sandra talking about the family, because that's another big chapter. But so much that we are doing lots of talks for the corporate, so banks or insurance in Barbados or outside Barbados. And many employers are starting to understand that it's really an issue. They are missing out because women are great. They can do the job great, and even more when they have experience. So it's a loss. It's a loss personally. It's a loss professionally. It's a loss for the company. So the policies are starting to change. In countries like UK, it's actually now mandatory to have a policy for menopause.
That's great.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I think it will come in the States as well. There is a lot of talking about it, and hopefully we will follow if we lobby enough. But is something that is really affecting the workplace, and as consequence the family, because you're gonna lose your job, you're gonna lose your financial stability, and when you don't work anymore, you tend to isolate yourself even more.
Right.
So it is significant on a mental health point of view as well.
Thank you, Sandra.
Yes, I'm going to read a second one.
Yeah.
Second testimonial. This is from a patient. She said, I want to leave my job at least once a month. Hot, hot sweats in the night, angry, emotional, moody. I haven't been touched by a man in over 10 years, and that's something I want to touch on, and I'm not sure that's something that later. Don't understand my own writing. Brain fog, forgetting words, waking up throughout the night. This patient actually did leave her job in the end. And the sad thing for me about menopause is that when I see women, it's after their lives have fallen apart.
Right.
So after they've lost a job, after they've gone through a divorce, sadly, that's when they seek help. And the reason for that is because they didn't understand what was happening. They were like the first patient I read to you. All of this was happening, but they didn't understand. And then it culminates in that. So we need to find a way of stopping that from happening to women. And like Roberta said, education in the workplace is pivotal. In the UK we've always led. We've been the champions for menopause throughout. We've always led, and I think that's why we've continued to be at the forefront. Certainly most organizations in the UK, we have what is called a menopause workplace champion. Mm-hmm. And at present, I'm working with several organizations on the island to have this person in place. This person who's trained, and we train them free of cost, so that when the women come, the women know that they have a person to come to. And then when the woman comes to this person, they're not made to feel like they're less than, like they're useless. They have someone who understands what they're going through and can now put things in place. So they get referred to the menopause clinic. We also do a menopause support group. Menopause support coffee, we call it a coffee shop, where we have groups of women. They come, and it's 8 weeks it's 8-week course, and they talk and we support each other. Oh, wow. Again, that's something that our clinic offers. Now, the corporations that have taken this on, it's done a lot for their companies, but I would like to see that rolled out across Indiana, not only in private corporations. I want to see it in the public corporations. Mm-hmm. Right. I want to see it in the government offices. A menopause champion who is intuitive, supportive, and that women can go to. I want to see initiatives where women can see that menopause champion and say, well, my office doesn't have AC, and something as simple as that can make a woman's life more comfortable. Or driving fills me with anxiety, so then maybe that woman can work from home 3 times a week. These are simple things that can make women's lives easier. And if we really value women in our society, this is not asking for much.
Right.
All right. They really are simple things. A bit of AC, a office with a window, one of my clients asked me for, that she could open when she got a hot flush. These are all basic things that can be given.
But I think we need to get rid of the stigma first that women feel about even sharing that they're having these feelings. Because we can speak to the employers all we want and get them on board, but who's to say that women actually are not too proud to say,
or ashamed
to say, hey, I can't come in today because, you don't have to say because I'm going through menopause. Mm-hmm. But obviously we know, or we think people may assume it's menopause because of what we say we're going through or something. As you say, you mentioned the AC. Oh, she got hot flashes. And we might in our heads think, oh, they're going to know that I'm going through menopause or something like that. So is a balance, is a hand-in-hand thing.
That's a really good point.
I think it's conversations like these that will start normalizing normalizing those things,
Yes.
because unless persons talk about it, how would they know?
No,
Or
exactly.
how would
Exactly.
you feel
Correct.
comfortable expressing yourself?
Correct.
When you recognize other people are speaking about
Yes.
it, it might give you the courage to say what you're going through.
Yeah.
But that's what we see often in when we do the meetings, and we are doing one about perimenopause in March. And
Yeah, invite us, please.
yes,
Yes.
I will. And initially, everyone, when you ask, you have questions, everyone kind of shy.
Shy back.
And when one start, you cannot stop it anymore. So you really need one. That's why the advocate, the champion, that's a real good way to go, because it's that person that maybe goes in the room and say, hey, that's what's happening to me. Is that happening to you as well? That's what I ask because of this. That's what I can have. That's what you can do to feel better. So it's also a little bit our duty as women to support our sister
Yeah.
and stop being enemies.
Mm-hmm.
It was before about delivery, having a peridural or not. There was this stigma: oh, you need to suffer to have a baby, otherwise you're not you're not a real mom. And a little bit the same with the menopause now. Oh, if you use HRT, it's almost like you ask for HRT, it's almost like you are weak. It's a failure,
Yeah.
and it's not. It's not. We really need to support each other. There might be one doesn't need. There might be one that need double than the other.
Yeah.
And let's stop pointing fingers and telling that we are failing instead of positive, elevate us.
Right. Sandra, you mentioned something that you wanted to come back to.
Yes.
In terms
Oh,
of-
sex.
Yes.
Yes,
We know
very
y'all want to
important.
hear about this part. We know all the women. This is a major concern. How is this going to affect my sex life?
I think I spoke earlier about all of the symptoms that they have in irregular periods, and they're heavy. They're not going to want
You're right.
to have sex. So it comes down to the educating women. What is happening to their bodies? Why is it happening? That there's no taboo to menopause. That once we live long enough, we will all go through menopause.
Thank God we're living long enough.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct. So, okay, bit of brain fog. That's my menopause. Now, where did I stop?
About the sex and
Yes.
wanting to have sex.
Yes, if all of these menopausal symptoms, they're not going to feel like they want to have sex. So who's going to suffer? That relationship is going to suffer, because come on. I find, because I'm in women's health, it's easy to forget the men, but we can't forget the men. Come on, you got married to this person 30 years ago, and they used to love to have sex, and now suddenly fast forward, now they have zero interest in sex, but he still has interest in sex. Where is that going to leave the relationship?
Right.
So it's all about communication. And in our menopause clinic, we work not only with the exercise person, we have therapists. We have 2 therapists that I need to shout out, Natalie Golden, Dr. Carrie Gask, who've been really helpful to our patients in our menopause clinic. It's all about helping those couples understand what's happening so that their lives can return to normal. Something as simple as the woman stopped having sex because her vagina became dry and sex become painful. I hate when women come to the clinic and say that. Do you know why? Because it's the easiest thing to treat.
Easiest.
It's the easiest thing to correct. And I say to them, listen, in 4 weeks, I could have given you a brand new vagina. All you had to have done was come forward. All I needed was 4 weeks.
Right.
But they wait 4 years before they come forward, because there's this embarrassment. But it's happening to all of us. You know, you're not the only one out there that this is happening to. So there's no reason for the shame. There's no reason for the embarrassment. Genitourinary, it's called the big word for it is genitourinary syndrome, where the vagina gets dry, you get painful sex. Another thing they don't talk about, we leak urine sometimes because the bladder isn't working properly. Again, easily treated. You just need some vaginal estrogen, which will, in 4 weeks, you will have all of that resolved.
Brand
And
new.
Brand new.
Brand new, she said.
And then they come back in the office and their faces have lit up because they're having sex
They're doing
again.
it, they're
And
doing
they're like, or you see the
The
like
glowing.
I was in Price Park recently, and this woman passed and she winked at me, and my husband was like, he said, "Why is she winking at you?" I said, "You don't know. You never mind." You know,
That was cold.
you never mind when she's winking
Things
at
are working
me.
again.
But she was happy.
Right.
So it's about us talking about what's happening to us and sharing that information before other female friends and helping them.
And not letting it be so taboo.
So we're telling women to don't see it as a taboo. Don't be scared to share. Educate yourselves. We've learned about these symptoms. I am anxious to know, what is life like when it's all over.
Yeah, like
What
It's
do you mean? It's
never
never
all
over.
over.
So it just goes
That is the
on.
biggest
The-
myth.
yes, postmenopause is for life.
My
I was
pet,
about to ask you,
my
is it time
pet,
free?
my pet peeve is when women come into the office or they come and they say,
I'm done with menopause.
or they come and say, my friend sent me to see you. But I passed that. I'm past all of the.
I'm done with that.
You never get out of menopause.
So how long can you be on the hormone replacement?
Oh, that's a good question.
As it's a choice. My oldest patient on hormone therapy turns 89 this year.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, my oldest one is 94.
Wow.
89. There's a video on my social media. She's a beautiful story. She would have started hormone therapy when it was taboo to start hormone therapy in 2002, when the Women's Health Initiative study came out saying that hormone therapy wasn't
Good for you.
wasn't good for women. Okay, so I remember in my interview before I said, well, Mrs. King, this is really admirable that you could have started this when this study came out. She said, well, Dr. Bynoe, there is longevity and then there's quality of life.
Yes.
Exactly.
Quality.
I wasn't functioning in my personal or professional life. Back then, she was the PA to Prime Minister Barrow. Back then, she said I couldn't function. So I chose to go on hormone therapy. So going on hormone therapy is a choice. So at the end of this podcast, I don't want women to think that they have to go on this.
Yeah.
This is a choice. I made the choice for myself because I felt just like Mrs. King. All right, there's living and then there's living. My quality of life had deteriorated. It's also a choice how long you want to stay on the hormone therapy. Some women choose to go on it for 5 years and then come off and see their symptoms. Some women choose to go on it for 10 years. It's a choice, but there's no time limit to when you need to come off. I personally will never come off.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I always say I will die with my patch, but the guidelines change significantly on that. So by guidelines, there is not a deadline anymore. In the past, we used to say you should you should use the lowest dose as possible for the lowest time as possible, and that's not true because the dose is going to be different for each one of us. There is not a magic number. It depends on what you need, and the time is as long as the benefits outweigh risk. So yes, not everyone needs to go on HRT. It's a choice. It's also knowing if you are a good candidate or not. And it's important, though, that you have someone that monitor you at least once per year so that we can assess, yes, you can actually stay on it, you are doing well, you don't have any contraindication to it.
Okay.
Because life is in progress
Right.
and things change. So it's really important that you have someone monitor you. I would say at least once per year.
I agree.
Okay.
What I will add there as well is even though I say that not everyone needs it, what I do advocate in my clinic, and I do encourage my patients to try it.
Try it to see.
And my reason for that is, in my experience, and I've been an OBGYN for 25 years, and menopause health for over 12 years. In my experience, and as a woman, women are brilliant at coping.
Yes.
Something
True.
happens,
So
True.
we
resilient.
cope. Because
True.
that's what society has taught us that
Yes.
we need to be. Something happens and we cope. Something else happens and we cope.
Right.
Adaptability.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then we're very adaptable. And then we're up to here with
Yes.
coping.
That's
And we've
stress.
forgotten the woman down here. And what hormone therapy does is it takes away that need to cope. And it brings you back to the woman down here.
Right.
I never forgot, I heard this woman said to me in the clinic, I don't know, just after I convinced her to have a trial, she said, suddenly I'm singing again when I'm cooking. And I can't tell you the last time I was singing when I was cooking.
Right.
So it's little changes like that that is important. And you won't know until you have a trial.
Right.
So I give them a 3 to 6 month trial, and if they like it and they think it has improved their quality of life, they continue. If they don't, they stop.
Yeah.
But it's always the woman's choice,
Yeah.
not the clinician's choice.
Okay.
But it's very true. Women are very, very resilient, and they don't know they can feel better.
Right.
We feel it's normal to have
You
that
don't have to
pain.
suffer.
Feel
Right.
it's
Someone has to
normal.
suffer.
Yeah, to wake up in the morning and be stiff and you not be
Yeah.
able to go to the gym. We feel it's
Yeah.
normal to leak. We feel it's normal to have pain during sex.
It ain't
Some
normal
they
to leak
just
at
go
all.
through
It
that.
ain't normal.
or they come back after trial for the hormone therapy. Oh
My God.
I'm sleeping. I
Yeah.
want to have sex again.
I slept
And my
like a
husband says,
baby.
whatever you gave me, he
paid
wants
for-
some of
he
it.
paid for two. So my question is, another question is, I see a friend of mine, she rubs on her estrogen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other-
so
what
do
other-
I.
What other does it come in tablets? I think it comes in a patch also.
Yeah.
All those things
It can
available in
be-
Barbados.
Yes. Yes. So we have the patch and the gel. And again, like I said, we have so many pharmacies on board having it now.
Yes.
Is it expensive?
It used to be
Wait, insurance will cover it?
when we first started this back in 2017. Not every woman could be on the HRT. Let's just say this. All right. Now, yes,
It's very affordable. We
It's very
calculate
affordable? Okay.
that on a standard treatment with estrogen and progesterone is about 120 Barbados dollars per month.
Oh, that's my
And-
nails.
and-
I think I do.
But
And
no,
there are
but that's
several-
your nails. Not everyone can afford it.
Right.
Okay.
So what about
So
insurance and stuff?
that-
It's
yeah,
under it's
insurance
covered in
is on
insurance.
board.
But before
Yeah.
you go,
Okay.
before we go to insurance, what I will say, not everyone can afford it. So, and I hope this show is shown widely, because what I really want is this medication on the drug formulary.
Yeah.
My goal for Barbados is the estrogen gel, the estrogen patches, and body identical progesterone are available on the formularies.
Speak it, Sandra.
What
Speak it.
I've been pushing for this for as long as I've been here. So this is this is my 10th year back. And that would be like a dream come true for me. So that right now, all that's on the formulary is something called Premarin. Premarin is a tablet made from horse's urine. Hand on heart, I'm not comfortable prescribing something that I wouldn't take myself.
She just
Right.
tell people things that nobody can take that no more after this. Yes.
It works, okay, but oral estrogen is not.
It's not the safest.
Estrogen isn't the safest route. The transdermal route, the gel,
Gel.
and the patches are the safer route.
Okay.
So once again, I'm a clinician and I'm a woman and I'm on HRT and I'm on the gel. So it's a bit hypocritical.
Yes,
I
true.
feel a bit hypocritical. I can be on the safer ones, but for my patients who can't afford it,
Right.
I have to prescribe that.
Double
I don't-
standards.
It is double standards. So I would love the formulary to change. All right. The second thing that I would love going forward from this podcast, sorry to hijack your podcast, is the socioeconomic divide surrounding menopause in Barbados to change. Every woman goes through menopause, so every woman should have access to a menopause specialist.
Yeah.
All right. I would like to see doctors in the polyclinics having a dedicated menopause clinic for women in their areas. We started a small training group. I've trained a small cohort of doctors in menopausal health, but we need to do more. So now when the woman in the community who can't afford the $120 goes to her polyclinic, which she should be able to access free of cost, then they can write a prescription from the formulary and give the gel and the patches. That is what every woman in Barbados is entitled to. Okay? You shouldn't be entitled to menopause care just because you can afford it.
Right.
Not when every single woman goes through menopause. That's wrong. So that's my goal for Barbados.
Passion. That's passion
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
there.
All right,
Yes.
so Deidre and Roberta, we're going to also ask you to give your final thoughts.
Well, my takeaway today really is the doctor spoke. Women do not have to suffer in silence. There are resources that are available to us. And in 2026, it is not a secret anymore. And that is the last thing I have to say. It is not a secret. We can live fulfilling lives from 35, when people think that their lives are going downhill,
Right.
until God ready to call us. Our lives can be fulfilling when we are actually 50 years old and it's time to self-actualize and say, well, I have raised my children. I am this way in my career and I can go higher. I don't have to leave my job. I can be the CEO.
Correct.
Yes.
So that's what I really take away from today.
I will add, you deserve to be the CEO of your company, but you need to be the CEO of yourself. So you really need to advocate for yourself. If you go to a doctor that says, well, it will pass, it's just in your mind, I don't listen, change doctor. Go look for another doctor. Keep asking, keep advocating for yourself, because no one else can do it as good as you do. There are options. You have me, you have Dr. Bynoe, you have other doctors that are becoming very receptive. As Sandra said, they are referring. They know that there are specialists, so you don't stop asking for help.
Thank you to Dr. Sandra Bynoe, Dr. Roberta Corona, and nutritionist Deidre Woods for sharing. Menopause should never be faced in silence. The more we talk, the more we understand, and the better we support each other. If this episode made you think or smile, or even pause for a second, don't forget to follow Just a Conversation on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Just search GIS Barbados. Every follow, share, or message brings more voices to the table. Until next time, keep the conversation going.